update just into our newsroom. We have just learned the U.S. soldier killed in Afghanistan yesterday was stationed at Fort Carson. 31-year-old Staff Sergeant Adam Thomas was killed while on duty by a roadside bomb. He's won multiple awards for his service, including the Bronze Star and Purple
Heart. Look at this video. Police in Bloomington say he attacked a woman checking into the Candlewood Suites Hotel yesterday afternoon. That hotel is located near 37 in West Bloomfield Road. Investigators say this man also robbed the front desk clerk of the hotel before running away. If you know anything about this man, call Bloomington Police or reach out to Crime Stoppers to report it anonymously.
Clear on the CU Boulder campus after several scares throughout the day. And this you don't see every day. Guns drawn in the middle of campus, students running out with their hands in the air.
So it started today with another scare at the football stadium. Stay with us here. A man carrying a machete was shot and killed by police.
And we have team coverage for you from the CU campus tonight. Liz Gilardi just got an update from police, but first to Lance Hernandez. The university is being applauded for reacting so quickly, Lance.
And Ann, I'm told that they reacted quickly because they were trained to do so. That training came in very handy in that tower behind me over there at the Champion Center on the 4th floor. Students and staff were notified of an active harmer not once on the CU campus today, but twice.
I heard someone yell like action words like move, go. And then we heard some gunshots.
Lauren Paul said the gunshots echoed in the stairwell at the Champion Center just a few feet away from where she and fellow students and staff were eating breakfast. She said they'd received a text alert about the incident as it unfolded.
It was very scary because we didn't really get any detail.
Police say a man armed with a machete confronted another individual in the parking lot outside the Champion Center and that he then went inside the building. That's where he was confronted by police. I asked police if they had a conversation with the man.
I don't know if you'd call it truly a conversation, but there was dialogue back and forth asking the suspect to put down the weapon, and that person did not comply.
During an afternoon news conference, CU Police Chief Melissa Zach said the suspect confronted a patient who was being treated at the sports facility.
The man made threatening and harassing statements to our patient, at which time the patient entered the Champion Center and went to the 2nd floor.
She said the machete wielder also went inside and walked up several flights of stairs. A staff member saw him, realized he was an active harmer, and also called police. And CU's Chancellor Phil DeStefano said that there are a number of resources available for people who are affected by this incident today, especially students and staff. We're also told that the 2 police officers, one a CU police officer, another a Boulder police officer involved in that takedown, have been put on administrative leave. That is standard procedure. Reporting live on the CU campus, Lance Hernandez, Denver 7.
Yeah, that was wild. Thank you, Lance. And Jeff.
On a police headquarters is an attack on our community.
Tonight, city leaders in Indianapolis say they will not tolerate actions against law enforcement. This after more than a dozen shots were fired at IMPD's Northwest headquarters last night. Let's bring in RTV6's Katie Hines. Katie, you just finished talking to the mayor and the police chief. What are they saying tonight?
Yeah, press conference here just wrapping up, and we're learning that the Metro Police Chief believes that based on the evidence, he thinks that the person responsible is an angry and violent individual. He said that, again, based on the evidence, but not confirming how many rounds were fired from what type of gun. What we do know is about 12 bullets hit IMPD's Northwest District headquarters near 38th and Guyan Road, and 3 squad cars that were parked in front of the building sustained damage. One employee was inside of the building when the shooting happened around 11 o'clock last night, but thankfully no one hurt. Chief Troy Riggs says IMPD has been reviewing its facilities and making changes so far this year, but the department is looking at what can be done immediately to update them. And he's stressing the importance of finding the person responsible.
I want to reiterate that we believe that the individual or individuals responsible for committing this act are still in the community, and we need the cooperation from the community before someone is potentially killed by this person, whether it's an officer or one of the citizens of our city.
So he, again, they're pleading for any tips, any information that you might have to help solve this case, help find the person responsible for this shooting that happened last night. Meantime, another person who spoke here today was the deputy mayor of Neighborhoods. He says that the city has gone to great lengths and made progress in closing the chasm between police and the community, but he says there is something that each one of us can do to help with that effort. We'll hear from him on that tonight at 6. For now, we're live. Katie Hines, RTV6.
An update for you now on a deadly crash on Route 24 in Fall River this morning. Tonight, the Bristol County District Attorney's Office has identified the victim as 43-year-old Albert Williams of Fall River. His SUV went off the road and into the woods near exit 6. Police tell us he was thrown from the vehicle. The crash is still under investigation.
And new at 5, prosecutors say the murder of 2 Taunton brothers nearly a decade ago was a robbery gone wrong. The first of 2 suspects went before a judge today. And also new tonight, we're hearing from members of the victims' families who have been waiting 8 years for justice. Eyewitness News reporter Steph Machado was in Fall River with the Southeastern Massachusetts Mobile Newsroom.
Between them, these 2 murdered brothers leave behind 4 children. Now, today I spoke with the mothers of those children about finally getting some answers 8 years later.
I dropped to my knees.
More than 8 years after her children witnessed the double murder of their father, Kevin Vargas, and uncle Sean Vargas, Kyla Carroll and her family have some answers.
I didn't believe it.
A grand jury has indicted 2 men in the double murder. 26-year-old Keith Cox, seen here in court this morning, and 28-year-old Matthew Lander, whose court appearance has not yet been scheduled.
Thank you.
At Cox's arraignment, Assistant District Attorney Dennis Collins called this a robbery gone wrong. He says Cox knew Sean Vargas, who sold marijuana, and they had even allegedly committed an armed robbery together in January 2008. 1 month later, Cox and Lander are accused of showing up at Kevin Vargas's Somerset Avenue studio apartment on a Sunday afternoon and shooting both brothers dead, with Kevin's 2- and 4-year-old sons in the room.
I know that their father told them to get behind the couch. That was said the first day, so he made sure that they were safe.
Brings back like everything that happened from the start.
Amanda Gross was engaged to Sean Vargas at the time of the murder and pregnant with their 2nd child.
My daughter never even got to meet him, and she still will look at his pictures and still cry to this day, and just because she knows she ain't gonna meet him.
And Keith Cox was held without bail today. Again, no arraignment date yet for Matthew Lander, who was already in police custody on an unrelated case. Coming up new at 6, you'll hear more from the family of these 2 brothers and how their children are doing today. Reporting live in Fall River with the Mobile Newsroom, I'm Steph Machado, Eyewitness News.
We have new details now on a homicide investigation we've been tracking for almost 9 years. The murder of 2 brothers in Taunton on February 24th, 2008. Today, one of the 2 men indicted in the murders appeared in court, where prosecutors revealed new details about the crime. Eyewitness News reporter Steph Machado is live in Fall River, where she spoke to the victims' families about the life 8 years later.
The prosecutors said these 2 murders were a robbery gone wrong. 2 men are now charged with shooting a pair of brothers to death. The family has been waiting for an arrest for more than 8 years.
Thank you.
Keith Cox facing a judge more than 8 years after the murder of 2 Taunton brothers, 23-year-old Kevin Vargas and 21-year-old Sean Vargas. Cox and Matthew Lander were indicted on murder charges by a grand jury last week.
I was excited, but it's still like, it's emotional still because they're still not here.
I didn't believe it.
The brothers' loved ones partly in disbelief that arrests were finally made. Kevin Vargas's 2- and 4-year-old sons were in the room when he and Sean were shot to death. Kyla Carroll is their mother.
They witnessed 2 people be murdered.
We're just very blessed that the children weren't, the children were untouched.
Carroll says while the children still have after effects, they are doing well today, always honoring their father.
They know about their dad. They can tell you more than I can, probably.
Amanda Gross is the mother of Sean Vargas's children. She was pregnant with their daughter when he died.
My daughter never even got to meet him, and she still will look at his pictures and still cry to this day, and just because she knows she ain't gonna meet him.
Keith Cox was held without bail at his arraignment today. Matthew Lander's arraignment date has not yet been set. And you can read more about the details of what the DA alleges these two men did right now on WPRI.com. Reporting live in Fall River with the Mobile Newsroom, I'm Steph Machado.
Then only on Eyewitness News, our cameras are in court as a former Narragansett man pleads guilty to killing his own mother.
It's a case we've been tracking for years. In 2013, police found the body of Allison Taylor murdered and thrown in a dumpster.
Eyewitness News reporter Steph Machado is live in Narragansett now with more on what Robert Taylor and his family said today in court.
This was a horrific crime that rocked this town, and today Robert Taylor's two sisters spoke in the courtroom. They didn't want to be recorded, but they said their family is forever broken. Robert Taylor admitting to the gruesome 2013 murder of his mother Allison Taylor at her apartment in Narragansett.
She passed away when I killed her, and I get to die. So we're remembering it every day.
The Attorney General's office says on that May 2013 day, police were looking for Taylor because he was suspected of stealing from a church. Meanwhile, a certified nursing assistant arrived for an appointment with Allison Taylor and was sent by Robert to buy bleach, paper towels, and a shower curtain. He tried to get her to bleach the apartment and she said no. That's when police arrived and eventually found Allison Taylor's remains in a dumpster.
She certainly deserved a hell of a lot better than she got.
Taylor pleaded guilty to second-degree murder in exchange for the state dropping the first-degree murder and dismemberment charges. He apologized in court to everyone, including that nurse.
She had to walk through the door, and into that day of my life, I hope that life's been good to her, because I'm sure she's been through a lot.
Attorney General Peter Kilmartin said in a statement, Allison Taylor suffered an unimaginable death at the hands of her son, who was spiraling out of control leading up to this horrific act. Taylor was sentenced to life in prison. He said in court he would leave his family alone for the next few decades. Reporting live in Narragansett with the Mobile Newsroom, Steph Machado, Eyewitness News.